Hello and welcome to QU All Access. I'm Courtney Gear.
And I'm Ryan Snyder. Coming up, we'll take a look at plans one senior has for after graduation.
And what life in Paris has been like since Friday's terrorist attacks.
But first, this month, the University of Missouri experienced intense backlash from students concerning racist remarks and actions. Students took to the campus to express their concern and went as far as pledging a hunger strike until the president of the university resigned from the university. As the turmoil surrounding the Mizzou campus continues, debate about racial divide has spread to other campuses. Quincy University is no different. If a student were to feel racial tension, he or she may not know how to voice these feelings or thoughts. QU All Access sat down with Alexandria Gurley to discuss the potential of forums for students or other ways they would be able to voice their opinions.
Yes, actually we have a forum that we are planning currently, speak of that, called Race Dialogues, promoting race dialogues on college campuses. We're trying to coordinate the best time for it, maybe by the end of this semester, but it will more than likely be somewhere in the first week of school in the spring.
Last episode, we told you that the Advancement Office would be hosting a National Philanthropy Week in the cafeteria. Today, Friday, November 19th, is the last day to donate any extra pocket change to the Hawk Bank. So far, multiple QU students have donated and had their picture taken and posted to Facebook. The winning results of the competition between the alumni and students will be posted this weekend on the Quincy University Facebook page. It isn't too late to join in the friendly competition.
Most seniors agree that moving on from QU can be somewhat stressful and emotionally draining. However, one graduating senior made a big impact in the music department and already has plans for the future in place. Darren Lillard is a senior music education and performance double major with big plans in mind for the future. Lillard will be graduating at the end of the semester and attending graduate school at Western Illinois University in the spring for saxophone performance. Although the future looks bright, QU will let go of a leader within the music department. Lillard participated in the marching, symphonic, jazz, and pep bands, was a member of the saxophone quartet, and is currently student teaching at Hannibal High School. Within the community, he has been involved in the Quincy Community Band, Big River Swing Machine, and teaches a dozen private saxophone students in the area. Lillard shares his excitement for grad school and advice for students who are unsure about attending school after graduation.
I was invited to play with the park band, I was invited to play with the community band, and I was also invited to play with the professional big band in town. So even outside of QU, because of my connections here at QU, I was able to go outside and perform with bigger groups. You never know until you try, just with anything. One of the best teachers I've ever had said the journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. So you'll never know until you take that first step.
For more information about grad school programs, visit Career Services in the Student Success Center.
If you're staying in Quincy over Thanksgiving break, you don't have to miss out on dinner. Restaurants around Quincy such as Burger King on 36th Street, the Abbey, Domino's, and Papa John's will be open on Thanksgiving Day for limited hours. If transportation is a problem, the Abbey is within walking distance of the main campus, and the pizza restaurants deliver. No news has been released as of now whether Quincy University will be hosting a Thanksgiving dinner, but be sure to check your email regularly for any updates.
Black Friday is always a hot topic surrounding Thanksgiving. QU All Access asked students how they plan on spending their Friday after Thanksgiving.
I'm going Black Friday shopping for my godchild. My best friend is having a kid on December 5th, and it's kind of ironic how Black Friday's before it, so it's like I've been saving my money for this big day.
On Black Friday, I'm looking forward to going back home, spending time with my family, shopping for Christmas presents, but I'm not looking forward to waking up early.
I don't participate in Black Friday because I never tend to save enough money around that time, so I'm never really ready.
Personally, I love Black Friday. Like, that's my favorite holiday besides, like, Christmas. Black Friday is my holiday.
I'd rather participate in Cyber Monday. It's basically like the Black Friday online, so you can still get good deals and everything, but you still have to be first come, first serve.
Complete coverage on the latest unfolding in France after last week's Paris terrorist attacks.
And what life inside the ISIS capital is really like. We'll be right back.
Come support your Quincy University baseball team this season. The Hawks compete in the NCAA Division II Great Lakes Valley Conference. Cheer them on as they play for a conference and national championship.
Come see the new renovations at QU Stadium. The turf infield gives the Hawks a great playing surface.
Come out and have some fun and support the QU Hawks baseball team this season.
For more information on the QU Hawks baseball team, go to QUHawks.com and click on the Sports tab and select Baseball.
Welcome back. On the heels of the recent attacks on France, French police sources tell CNN Wednesday that a raid on a French apartment came right on time. They say suspects were about to move on some kind of operation. Instead, 8 people were detained, 2 suspected terrorists were killed, and authorities are working to see if any of those killed were related to the suspected ringleader of Friday's terrorist attacks. Erin McLaughlin has more from Paris.
French President Francois Hollande says his country is forced into battle with ISIS.
That we are at war.
Wednesday, the country went on the offensive. Belgian and French police and security agencies picked up on a telephone wiretap, leading them to an apartment in Saint-Denis, a northern Paris suburb not far from where the deadly stadium attack happened Friday. The wiretap suggested a relative of Abdelhamid Abaoud, the suspected Belgian ISIS ringleader of Friday's attacks, could be in the apartment. Heavily armed officers went in by the truckload for an hours-long operation. Inside, a woman in another apartment hid with her baby.
They said to stay laid down on the floor, don't move, and turn off all lights, and that's what I did, and I hid.
She says gunfire and explosions shook the building until officials announced the raid was over.
A police operation that was particularly dangerous and heavy has just ended. 2 people died, including a woman by explosives.
Officials say they will use DNA analysis to determine who was killed. President Hollande says he will ask to extend France's state of emergency for 3 more months, giving authorities more powers in conducting searches and detentions. In Paris, I'm Erin McLaughlin reporting.
The media has been awash with stories regarding the attacks in Paris, heroism during the terror attacks, neighbors welcoming displaced strangers into their homes, and the international community lighting up monuments in support. Businesses have also been stepping up in wake of these attacks. In CNN's Consumer Watch report, Mary Maloney talks about the ways companies are trying to pitch in.
We have some breaking news for you out of Paris.
As Parisians opened their homes to those who had been displaced by the terror attacks in Paris, Airbnb took note. The online vacation rental service set up a page providing urgent Paris accommodation in the days following the attacks. The site waived all service fees to those affected. Several cellular services followed suit. T-Mobile and Verizon both offered free calling and texting from the U.S. to France, and Sprint waived long-distance fees on calls and texts for all Sprint, Boost, and Virgin Mobile customers. Online service Skype made its phone and video calls to France free of charge for an undisclosed amount of time. Google also tweeted that calls to France would be free via its Hangout application. Facebook launched several features. In the immediate aftermath of the attacks, the social media giant activated Safety Check, enabling people in the vicinity to notify friends and family they were okay. It was the first time Safety Check had been activated during a situation other than a natural disaster. Facebook also introduced a function allowing users to overlay a French flag on their profile picture. Other companies made symbolic gestures. Amazon changed the top half of its website to a banner displaying the French flag. Groupon, Reddit, and Apple's French site all incorporated the flag into their logos. And Google posted a black ribbon on its homepage. For Consumer Watch, I'm Mary Maloney.
From France to the United States, terrorist threats from ISIS are not being taken lightly. ISIS recently released a video targeting one of the United States' busiest hubs, New York City. Andrew Spencer has more on the story.
The people of New York City will not be intimidated.
New York officials responded to an ISIS video specifically threatening New York. It featured video from Times Square and what appears to be a bomb being tucked beneath the jacket of a bomber. Officials aren't ignoring the video, but they're being careful about how seriously they take it.
Being quite frank with you, there is nothing new about that video. New York obviously remains one of the top terrorist targets in the world.
They dusted off a video that we saw a few months ago, I think back in April, and gave it a new beginning and a new end. So this is ISIS doing what ISIS and Al-Qaeda and terrorist groups do, which is propaganda.
In the aftermath of the attacks in Paris, U.S. cities have stepped up security, both seen and unseen, as a precaution. Among those cities, New York and Washington, D.C., which was also threatened in a video earlier this week. Officials stress there are no credible and specific threats.
It is the goal of terrorists to intimidate and disrupt our democratic society. We will not submit to their wishes.
They seek to create fear. They seek to intimidate. We will not be intimidated, and we will not live in fear.
I'm Andrew Spencer reporting.
ISIS has made their intentions of their attack on New York City public. What was yet to be fully revealed is what goes on behind ISIS training camps and villages. Raqqa once was home to 200,000 civilians, and much has changed since then. CNN Global Affairs correspondent Elise Labid has a rare inside look at life in the ISIS capital.
A toddler dressed as a jihadi with the ISIS flag behind him is encouraged to behead his teddy bear. The disturbing scene spread through social media, exposing the indoctrination of children inside the ISIS capital of Raqqa, Syria. Boys as young as 5 years old in an ISIS camp training for the group's signature executions.
In this camp, they try to teach them the ideology of ISIS. They send them to bomb themselves. They use them to carry weapons, medical stuff in the clashes. So it's so horrible for the children.
So basically they're raising little jihadis from a small age.
Yeah.
Videos smuggled out of the ISIS stronghold and used by media outlets like CNN are the only way to see what life is like under extremist rule. ISIS has banned journalists, replacing them with slick propaganda glamorizing life in the so-called Islamic State. But a dozen activists are pulling back the curtain on the horrors of ISIS rule in their small city, once among Syria's most liberal. They call themselves Raqqa is being slaughtered silently.
ISIS started to execute, to kill, and do all these human rights violations in Raqqa, and no one did anything for the city. No one even heard about it. So we did our campaign trying to put the attention on our city, to maybe someone will do something to the city.
The photos and images they smuggle out, a lifeline to the outside world.
You can say no life in Raqqa. You can't do anything. No shops, university, no schools, nothing to do. And everything is expensive.
It sounds like hell.
Yeah.
One woman snuck a camera under her veil, risking her life to film this video depicting ISIS' brutal treatment of women.
They can't go outside alone. If she want to go outside, she should go with the husband, father, brother, or whatever, and she should cover all herself. The women in Raqqa or in ISIS areas are nothing. Just they use them only to do sex, to buy and sell the Yazidi girls.
So basically they're making them prostitutes.
Yeah.
Abdulaziz al-Hamza was covering clashes between ISIS and the Free Syrian Army when ISIS stormed his house. He managed to escape the country and now manages the group's social media.
ISIS arrested one of our reporters. They checked his laptop and they found our campaign logo. And after 3 weeks, they executed him in a public square.
Last month, one of their members working in Turkey was beheaded.
Why are you journalists showing what's going on in Raqqa instead of being fighters, killing ISIS fighters?
If you will defeat ISIS and you didn't defeat the ideology of ISIS, maybe after 2 months or 3 months or years you will find a new ISIS.
Coming up, we'll take a look at what weather has in store for us next week.
And how the QU Hawks fared in the playoffs. Stay with us.
Yes. Growing up, I had one deaf friend, and that was the only deaf person I knew before coming to school here at QU. And now I regularly get to hang out and socialize with the deaf community, which has been awesome. Sign language isn't exactly like learning another spoken language because you use your body, facial expressions, your hands are your instruments. So it is definitely learning a new language. It has its own grammar and syntax and everything. It's not exactly like English like a lot of people think it is.
had plans. A baby wasn't one of them. You feel you can't afford a baby. Not now. How will you tell your parents? Your boyfriend? Are you or someone you know facing a crisis or an unplanned pregnancy? CareNet of Quincy knows making important decisions can be hard, and you need to have information you can trust. Take a moment, stop and think, educate yourself. You are not alone. CareNet of Quincy is here to help.
It's certainly been a rainy week this past week.
It sure has, Ryan, and it looks like we might be in for a different kind of precipitation next week. We now go to Lainey Wade for an extended look into next week's forecast. Lainey?
Yes, it has been quite rainy, but don't expect that to change. In fact, you may want to pull out your mittens and your cap because it is going to cool off a lot. Looking at Friday, looks like we got some rain in the area, but the high is going to be 49. Then, as we move into Saturday, looks like we might have our first chance for snow. Now, and moving into Sunday, wrap up our weekend, it's going to be bright and sunny at 39. A little cooler than what we're used to, but I wouldn't be too worried because later on in the week we're going to warm up. So, on Monday, it's going to be bright and sunny with a high near 52. Then Tuesday, the clouds are going to roll back in, bright and sunny with a high near 49. Then on Wednesday, we do warm back up. We get to a high of 53, but the clouds are going to stick around. And on Thanksgiving, on Thursday, the clouds are still going to be around with a high near 54. Looking like everybody's going to be heading out. The weather's going to be in the mid-50s. Should be okay, but definitely bundle up. That does it for this weekly forecast. I'm Lainey Wade. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Lainey. Now we take a look at QU All Access producer's video pick of the week. There's hope for a 6-week-old puppy born without front legs. The pup's owner says the little guy will soon now have help getting around thanks to a 3D printer. CNN's Kevin Landers explains.
You can get your toys? Get it.
Meet Tumbles,
Get it. He's just a fighter.
a 6-week-old terrier,
As far as he knows, he's just a normal puppy.
but he's not a normal puppy.
There's teeny little nubs there.
Tumbles was born with 2 things puppies need.
I've been doing dog rescue for 30-some years, and I've never had the experience of having a 2-legged dog before.
This tiny ball of fur
Where are you going?
is Karen Pilcher's baby.
Is that Tomo?
If she didn't rescue him from a friend's house, she felt no one would.
Many places and many people would have put this dog down.
But thanks to what's happening inside this 3D printer, Tumbles won't be scooching on the floor much longer.
That's the sled.
Joe Jolick
This is the axle.
runs the 3D printing lab at Ohio University.
This is the first functional prosthetic we've done using this printer.
The sled, as he calls it, came from the head of Brad Reed.
I ended up drawing it from scratch.
It will take 5 hours for this high-tech scanner to lay down the microscopic plastic beads that will form the wheels and axle. Another 8 hours to build a U-shaped harness.
The trickiest part is getting the dog to use it.
The sled will allow Tumbles to lay on the breastplate. His back legs will push the front wheels.
This is one of the first prototypes of Tumbles' sled. It was too big, the new one's much smaller, but when it's complete, he'll be able to eat and walk in this, and when he wants to go to sleep, they'll simply undo the Velcro straps and he'll sleep like a normal puppy.
He was the runt.
As for Tumbles, he's ready to start a new life,
He's going to be able to get around a lot better.
thanks to a 3D printer that's giving back what he was born without.
Coming up, the Hawks enjoy a home opener.
And take a look at how one Virginia kidnapping has a surprising ending. We'll be right back.
It isn't a building. It isn't an arena or field. It isn't a classroom. It's a friendship. It's the bonds you form. It's an opportunity. It's the experience. It's a cute thing. Schedule your visit today.
QUTV is more than a news outlet.
1 in 5 undergrads work at least 35 hours a week, year-round.
Students involved with QUTV learn life lessons, create lasting memories,
and gain the experience needed to succeed in future careers.
Students need to be involved with QUTV as a viewer or as a participant because we need to know what's going on around our campus.
Knowledge is powerful, and QUTV News serves to inform not only the students, but the Quincy University community as a reliable and powerful news network.
Welcome back. This week in sports, we kick off the start of the men's and women's basketball season.
And we get an update on whether or not the men's and women's soccer teams were victorious in the NCAA tournament. Andrew McCulloch has more. Andrew.
The men's basketball team opened up their season with 2 straight road losses. Coach Bell's team would be happy to return to Pepsi Arena for their home opener against Upper Iowa. Could the Hawks snap the mini losing game streak, or would the Peacocks soar out of Quincy with the win? Let's head to the court for the action as things are going to get kicked off. The Hawks huddled up here, jazzed up for their home opener. Action's going to kick off with Herm Senor. He's going to pass it over to Von Washington. Washington going to be gracious and give it back. How about the 3 here? Nothing but the bottom of the net there. Thomas Jackson is going to be up next here. He's going to get the ball at the top of the key. Jackson, a little bit of a dribble drive to his left, and he's going to finish off the glass for 2 there. Jackson had 14 points in this one. This time, Jackson's going to give it to Godson Anagwe, who's got the ball. A little bit of a shimmy shake here. Gets some space, pops the 3 and hits there. Anagwe, 5 points on the night. How about Scott Bruxford? He's going to get in on the action. A little bit of drive to his left, off the glass and in for 2, and he wouldn't be done there. It's going to be Herm Senor with the pass to Bruxford. Drives and jumps and dunks there. Get up or get out the way. Bruxford finishes there, but things get a little spicy as he gets a technical foul there. QU not done. How about Evan McGaffey? He wants to get in on the dunk party, and he does there as he finishes. However, Upper Iowa is going to control the second half here with plays like this. Luke Lenhart drills one from downtown. That's out from in Siberia. And Carson Parker on this next play is going to find his big man. It's going to be Ethan Steinbraun for the easy deuce in Upper Iowa. Wins this game by a final score of 93-81. They're 3-3 on their season. QU drops to 0-3. For QU, it's Evan McGaffey with 14 points and 8 rebounds. Carson Parker doing a little bit of everything with 16 points, 9 rebounds, and 6 assists. The Lady Hawks basketball team kicked off their season with the Microtel GLVC GLIAC Challenge. After blowing out Northern Michigan, could Quincy follow that up with another home win against Grand Valley State? We've got the action yet again from Pepsi Arena. This one is going to get kicked off with Aaron
Coach Morty Bell, head basketball coach.
Aaron Menemeyer finishing the layup right here, wide open. How about this next play? It's going to be Maggie Cunningham, the point guard, finding Carly Beebe under the basket. That's a layup. Beebe wouldn't be done there. She's got it under the basket again, gets the layup and the contact and one there. Cara Gerbis driving to the basket. She's going to finish for 2 points there. The Lady Hawks getting a ton of easy baskets here. Cunningham going to move to her left and make the layup there. This next play, Cunningham doing a little bit of everything. She's going to find Nakia Edom, who drains the 3 from downtown. 1 of 4 for her on that game. Cunningham this time finds Annika Weber for the easy deuce. QU rolling along here. How about Cunningham again? Stops, pops, drains, and the foul. She's pumped up for this one. This time she's going to drive, pass it to Menemeyer again, who finishes the layup. And to close things out, it's Cunningham yet again with the layup. Maggie Cunningham does it all. It's the Lady Hawks win 62-60 in this one. They are now 2-0 on their season. Grand Valley State 1-1. You see Cunningham, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there with the 8 assists and 13 points to go along. Kara Gerbis with 10 points and 10 rebounds as well. The Hawks soccer team came into the NCAA tournament as the underdog without their star, Taylor Reese. Coach Carpenter would need his players to step up in Reese's absence if they were to beat Cedarville. Unfortunately, the Hawks could not get anything going, and they fell by a final score of 3-0. Their season ending at 12-7-2. Meanwhile, Cedarville advances at 15-3-2. For Cedarville, it's John Brown with those 2 goals. He's got 4 on the season. Pete Condell did have 2 shots on goal, but none finding the back of the net. While the men were not victorious in their first round matchup, the Lady Hawks were. Coach Musso's squad took down Missouri St. Louis 1-0, but they would be faced with a tough rematch against number 1 seeded Grand Valley State, whom the Lady Hawks defeated 3-0 in the first game of the season. But Grand Valley State would get its revenge as they end the Lady Hawks season with a 6-0 victory. Grand Valley State an impressive 20-1 on the season. The Lady Hawks impressive themselves, but they end their season at 14-4-4. Samantha Riga 2 goals for GVSU. Ashley Burton 2 shots on goal. It has not been the season that Coach Padgett and the football team were expecting, as they came into the final game of the season with a 3-6 record. The Hawks battled with conference rival Missouri S&T up until the clock hit 0, but could not end their season on a high note, falling by a final score of 42-35. They end their season at 3-7. Nick Lonergan, honorable mention for the GLVC, 22-38, 366 yards and 4 touchdowns. First team GLVC member Eric Poindexter, 9 receptions, 159 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's going to do it for sports this week, but if you can't wait until next week's episode for more Hawks and Lady Hawks action, remember to tune in to the Hawks Sports Radio podcast every week, which is available on the QUTV Facebook page.
Thanks, Andrew. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Join me, Coach Marty Bell, head basketball coach of the Quincy University Hawks, live from Chicks on the River every Monday night at 6:30 p.m. or on ESPN 1440 for the Coach Marty Bell Show. Hear from our coaches and players as Ben and I recap the previous games and preview our upcoming opponents. Grab your friends and family and come out to Chicks on the River for a great meal and meet the Hawks. QU men's basketball, Chicks on the River, and ESPN 1440, a winning combination. And as always, it truly is.
Welcome back. A child who was left in a running car in Norfolk, Virginia was kidnapped as 2 men stole his mother's vehicle. However, the outcome was better than expected when police found the boy sitting in his school, safe and sound. CNN has more on the story.
We found the child at the school unharmed, sitting in the classroom with a smile on his face.
That's the best possible outcome after a 911 call this morning about a mother's car missing with a little boy inside. Jan Mashinsky is visiting her kids and grandkids in the neighborhood where it happened.
She must have just, her heart must have stopped and just, I cannot imagine. I mean, it would just be devastating to think that your child could have been stolen.
Norfolk Police spokesman Daniel Hudson says the mom had left her son in the parking lot of this post office where she works on 20th Street in Ghent. When she came back out to take him to school, both the car and the boy were gone.
You hear so many stories, and then when you know, up close, and it just scares the daylights out of me. So
yeah,
you really have to be careful and not leave your child alone. I mean, I feel so sorry for that woman. I mean, that could have turned out worse.
Within about 15 minutes, officers found the boy sitting safely in his classroom.
He said that he was fine. He said that 2 guys got into the car, saw that he was in the car, and then turned around and said, "Oh, we're here to take you to school. Where do you go to school?" He said, "Ginn Elementary," and they took off to Ginn Elementary.
Officer Hudson says parents can take 2 things away from this. 1, don't leave your kids in a running car. And 2,
talk to them about the stranger danger possibilities, or what they would do if somebody they don't know comes up and starts talking to them. In this case, I think the child was just utterly shocked.
We'll be back in 2 weeks. Q All Access is off next week with the Thanksgiving break. And as we mentioned earlier, Thanksgiving means Black Friday. Some businesses in Quincy will be opening their doors for the event as early as 4 p.m. on Thanksgiving evening. Should businesses be open this early to avoid the rush? What are your thoughts on retailers starting on Thursday?
Well, I gotta say, as I do work retail, we're closed on Thanksgiving, thankfully. But it's kind of convenient because I have to work all day Black Friday. So while some people are missing out on time with their families, I think it's somewhat nice to be able to actually go Black Friday shopping before I have to work.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Thanksgiving is just, it's a day to sit at home with your family and just enjoy everything that you have. Maybe watch a little football, pig out a little bit. I'm not a big fan of Black Friday in general anyway, so I don't see why they started so early.
Personally, I'm a big fan of Thanksgiving. I think it's a great time to be with your family and just kind of relax, don't do a whole lot. And I think having those stores open, it just kind of takes away from the whole Thanksgiving experience.
Right. I could see it being open later, maybe 9, 10 at night, or even, midnight, so that's actually Friday, but 4 p.m. is still before supper time, at least in my home. So the most important thing, I think, is being able to spend time with your family during that holiday. Thank you all for joining us in this week's episode of QU All Access. Remember to tune in online on Facebook or on Channel 97 on campus for more news anytime. For the entire All Access team, I'm Courtney Gear.
And I'm Ryan Snyder. As always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you after the break.